Okay, if you have more questions as we continue, just put them down, put them in the chat, or let me know. All right, so let's talk about the first part of this, and that's the outline. So here is where the first part of this is the summary, rather. So in this summary, you're actually taking your concept of what you believe your digital marketing strategy and goals to be. You're writing that down here. So here is where you should really give a good explanation and the purpose of the digital marketing plan, the product, and the company. You should be able to explain in this section why you're producing the plan and what's the intent that the plan is for. Now, we know why we're producing it. The reason why we're producing it is to create results. You want to generate revenue through digital marketing, and the intent is to get conversions or sell more umbrellas or whatever it is that you're doing there, right? So a couple of points to include. If you read through this, you could just basically answer some of these questions to fill in the blanks here. So why is the company in business and what products are manufactured? Now, if you don't have a product, let's say you're doing a service, let's say you're a dry cleaning company or something like that. Well, it's products or service. So why are you in business? You're in business to clean clothing, and what do? You basically are a environmentally friendly dry cleaner. Let's say that would be a service business, or maybe you have a cleaning solution company that sanitizes offices now from bacteria and COVID, right? That type of thing. The next question to answer would be what markets are served and why. So where is your business? Where do you sell your product or service? If you're local and you only sell in the local Miami area, then that's your answer. If you're online, are you selling nationwide? Then that's your answer. Why do you sell nationwide? Because you have an e-commerce store and your demographics that you're going after are from coast to coast, right? Now, if you're only selling I don't know, ski boots, let's say. Well, ski boots can be sold coast to coast, but you're probably only going to do better in those populations that heavily participate in skiing. You could find them. Now, they could be all over the country too. So that'll be up to you to decide. Now, the next part that you should answer, and this all goes into the summary here, you could include the answers to this question as part of this explanation and purpose of the plan. So just by answering these questions, you'll get the summary written out. What are the features of the products and what are the benefits you offer to your customers? So let's explain that here for a minute. A feature of a product is something that product offers that no other products offer, or is your distinct competitive advantage. Okay. The benefit is what you get as a consumer from that feature. So let's explain this a little bit. A fast, a powerful engine in a car. That's a feature, right? A well-built, powerful engine in the car is a feature. The benefit of that powerful engine in the car is what? Is the car goes fast. So as a consumer, you get the benefit of that fast engine, right? How about if you had a phone? The feature is that the battery lasts for 24 hours without charging. Well, that's great. Great feature to have. The benefit is that you as a consumer don't have to worry about charging the battery and worrying about having to recharge it when you might need the phone the most, right? So that's what features and benefits are. So in your product explanation, when you're writing your summary up, you can include that as part of your explanation here, what the product is, what it does, and what you offer to the customers. So once you start defining that, and you see if you just answer those three questions, you already have 3 sentences, right? 4 sentences, and no one's counting sentences here, but I'm just trying to give you an idea of how you can build this out. You want it to be make it logical, of course. The next part of that would be strategies. What type of strategy do you have for your product or service? So there are different strategies, and I'm hoping in the previous classes you covered some of this, the previous sessions, you covered some of these strategies, but just to hit on some of the major ones here, there is a market growth strategy that's very self-explanatory. You're growing the market growth. There's increased market penetration. That's a little different than market growth because now you're trying to go into a market that you're already there and you're trying to increase your penetration across a wider audience. Some people consider it the same as market growth, but it's defined somewhat different. Then there's organic growth. That means you're just growing one by one organically, and you're not really doing a lot of expansion. You're just growing on your current customer base. You could also go into new markets. So let's say you sold only in the US, but now you want to sell in Mexico as well, or you sold only in Miami. Now you want to move to Broward as well, or you only sell in Florida. Now you want to sell to the West. You're building up new markets. And there's also new channels. So what does that mean? Well, maybe you only have an Amazon store, and now you want to open up an Amazon store and your own B2C store. That's a new channel. Or maybe you want to go from Amazon into Publix or a Kohl's or a retailer. That's a new channel. You also want to look at your consumers and your markets. Are you trying to add new consumers and new markets, new targets? So maybe you sold a product only to women, professional women between the ages of 35 and 45. But now you feel that you can sell a product to professional women ages 25 to 35. So you're adding on a consumer to that market. Or maybe you want to bring in a new product altogether for an existing customer base. So maybe you sold shoes and now you decide to sell umbrellas that match the shoes. So you're going to expand and be able to sell a new product to your existing customer base by selling them an umbrella to go with their matching shoes. So that's some of the growth strategies. Now you can also talk about how you want to fight off your current competition and just keep your business alive, which is very relevant right now, right? Just find a way to keep the company more profitable. So that's some of the strategies that you can incorporate. Maybe you could pick a couple of them that make sense. Maybe there's only one you want to focus on, but that's how you would write that summary up. So the next section is you're digging in now to your product and service description, okay? So now here, this is where you really talk about your product and your service. And you want to describe the total offerings in terms of the 4 P's of marketing. So let's refresh your 4 P's here. That's the marketing mix. The first one is product, right? So we already covered this. The product is your main product features, your main major benefits of the product, and any branding strategies you may have. So sort of describing that product here. So now you're taking what you put.
I'm just making sure.
Hold on a second. Let me put you back on mute there.
Making.
All right. So you want to make sure that you're covering your product, and you could pull in your features and benefits as well. Okay. The next section is your pricing. So what are you pricing the product at? Are you going to be the lower price, the higher price? You can be more exact if you like. $9.99, $59.99. That's up to you. The next P is place. That's distribution. How are you distributing the product? And then Lastly, it's your promotional strategy. So here, you're obviously including digital marketing, right? Social media, pay-per-click, email marketing, that should all be here. But you could also include any other personal selling or public relations or advertising and sales promotions. So you can see just by describing your product or service in more detail there, that'll fill out that particular section. And this is where you're really talking about how unique your product is or your service, how unique it is versus the competition. And here's where you want to explain how you're solving someone's problem. Remember, I started this whole conversation waking up in the morning and needing an umbrella. And here is how you explain how you are going to solve my problem and get me the best umbrella that I can possibly buy for $29.99 or whatever the price is. This is where you talk about that particular item right here in this section. So what would be the target market for a boutique hotel? That's a great question. That's a question that you need to answer through your research. But if I had to guess right now without researching, it would be travelers, leisurely travelers who are not like Marriott's rewards members, or like uniqueness, or like personal touches, or like one-to-one interactions. So you have to really define who that target is, who likes boutique hotels. It could be most likely it could be an elderly couple. When I say elderly, I mean probably a Gen Xer or a baby boomer, so 45 and up. I guess you could have some millennials in there. Probably not likely, but that's what I would have to guess. But that's the research that you would have to do in your plan. Okay. Okay. So let's continue with the target market, and that's a great segue because this is part of the answer to that question we just talked about. So your target market really is your description of what the target is you're trying to sell this product to. So when you do your research, you need to understand, how big is that market? Are there 1 million people in this market size? Are they growing? Is it going to be 2 million next year because you want to be able to grow larger, have a larger growth rate? What are the important characteristics of that target market? Why is it attractive? So let's stay with that boutique hotel example. I'm going to stick with baby boomers here for a second, which are generally right now between the ages of 60 and up. I'm going to say they like boutique hotels because they don't like the hustle and bustle of a chain hotel. They have more time. They're more relaxed. They're most likely retired. They have a higher income. They could probably afford a more of a boutique type of service. And that's why that baby boomer market is attractive to us. Plus, we know they spend. Now, granted, we're in the middle of the pandemic, so all that is with an asterisk on it, right? What is the estimated size of the market in dollars and units, and what are the risks? Well, if we stick with that example again, using baby boomers for boutique hotels, well, there's 10,000. I think the latest stat was 10,000 individuals retiring every single day here in the U.S. So the baby boomer generation is actually, I believe, about 20-something% of the total U.S. population right now. So it's pretty big. And they have a lot of dollars, a lot of opportunity to spend money. And the risk involved there would be, of course, they're aging out and they're dying out, which is a true statistic, right? They age out of traveling. Maybe they get to a certain age where they don't want to travel anymore, or maybe they're on a fixed income at a certain age where they can't travel anymore, or maybe their time on Earth has come to an end. That is a real as well. Okay. So you have to explain that in your target market, and you really want to make sure you're researching this. You're not just guessing it, you're researching it. And that's how you come up with the market. Now, if when you do your research, you're creating these demographic profiles, these personas, you could look at all these different demographic keys like gender, income, age, occupation, education, family, geographic region, lifestyle, attitude, purchasing characteristics. All that makes up that individual, that persona that you want to target. Okay. And if you answer some of these questions, if you get stuck and just go through this list of questions, you should be able to get some of these answers. Like, why does the target customer need your product? And what are the benefits sought by the market? How is the product going to be used? Why and when will they use the product? When you start thinking through this, you could start understanding how that customer could be perfect for you and understand what makes sense. Okay. What's the purchasing process? How does a consumer get to the product? How do they buy it? How do they make a decision to get the product? So all that's part of this marketing strategy here when you come to target market. Now, if you're thinking about the timeline of a plan, and that's that last part here, you want to really think about how big is the market going to be 3 to 5 years, probably, not just tomorrow, but you want to be able to grow the business. I'll give you a perfect example. Right now, we're still obviously in this pandemic, and it looks like it's going to come back a little bit here. That means that there are things that are changing in the restaurant business yet again. Takeout and ordering in is now growing exponentially. So that process, when we go to a restaurant, is going to change forever. The takeout business is projecting now to be stronger every single year from now until the end of time, because now people are changing their habits. People are changing how they do things. So takeout business will be growing rapidly over the next 3 to 5 years. So you can see how projecting that will help you there. Okay. If you create a persona, you look at this section over here where you're detailing the information that you have. You can create a persona, and that could be your target market. And then you want to explain, how big it is. So that's definitely the way that you need to do this. Come up with a persona, and in some cases, you may have 2, 3, or 4 personas, no more than 4, because maybe your market is split into 4 different ways, and that's what segmentation is all about too. You start at the top and
That's
then
what I was
segment down.
thinking, because actually what we're working on for Netflix, like the audience should be big. Like,
Right.
according to did research, like what are the age groups that are active on Netflix and all those things. I researched on the site, so I have an idea. But like just to like, I believe that it has to be more than one persona, because this is a big age group. It's not an age, but it's like from 18 to 49 is the people that watch the most, like the highest percentage that watch Netflix.
Yeah, right. So you would
That's
break.
like a huge.
Yeah, you would have to break. That's what segmentation is all about, because you could never, when you think about that, and this is a good place to talk through this a little bit more. So if you have that huge group of individuals, the idea here of creating personas is you're breaking down that large group into manageable segments, and that's how you segment down everything. Okay, so in this case, the millennials, which will be generally speaking, 20 to 30 age group, they have different needs, wants, and desires, likes and dislikes, interest, and they're even on different social media channels than the Gen X's, who might be 40 to 50. because then that means you right there you have two different personas. Then you may have a someone within each one of those groups. You might have professionals versus college educated, non-professionals. So you could break it down yet again. So you could have additional personas there. Now, it's probably best practice not to have more than 4 personas, because I think once you get past 4, you become too erratic in your messaging and it's just too much to handle. I would leave a group out if I get past 4. I would just focus on the 4 most important, most valuable, and most reachable audience groups, and then forget about the 5th and 6th one. That's how I would do that. Give me a second here. Let me get that set up. Okay, so you see this section is about half a page too, and as much as I would like to say that you have the best product and you have the best service and the best company in the entire world, there is competition and there are substitutes. There always will be. That's always going to be the case. So we, as a marketer, as a business owner, have to understand that. If you like Coke, Pepsi could be a substitute, or a competitor rather. But water could be a substitute for Coke and Pepsi. Orange juice could be a substitute for Coke and Pepsi. Let's say you go into a convenience store and the Coke is priced at $1, right? Pepsi's priced at $1. Well, it's obviously they're competitors. They're both the same price. They're both priced at $1. You could take Coke or Pepsi. The water is also priced for $1. Now, if you're trying to be healthy like me, you probably get the water because that'll make your wife and the entire world happy, I guess, right? But let's say orange juice is for $1. So now you have competitors and substitutes all priced the same at $1. Why? Because I only have $1 to spend. I could choose to spend it on water, Coca-Cola, Pepsi, or orange juice. But now let's get a little more crazy. Let's add Doritos to the mix. And I love Doritos. I have to say, I stopped eating them, but I do love them. They are $1 too. Now, if I just want to spend $1, I have a choice between a Coca, Pepsi, orange juice, water, or Doritos. Well, wait. Now I'm passing by the counter. I see M&Ms. They're $1. Okay, so now I've got a choice. That $1 could be spent on anything, right? So that's the extensiveness of competitors and substitutes. And if you think about that in terms of the real world, you can buy your product. When you put in any product, I don't care what product it is, punch in any product in Google, any product on Amazon, and there'll be dozens of opportunities to buy that from different competitors. And one might be $1 more, one might be $1 less, one might offer free shipping, one might charge shipping. You have to evaluate all that. So that's where competitors and substitutes come into play, and that's why you, as a digital marketer, as a business owner, need to know that. So here in this section, you really should put together a good idea of 2 or 3 competitors. And if you remember, well, at least if you've taken the marketing class with me, we've covered the SWOT analysis. You should have covered that, right? SWOT is strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. So you want to be able to outline what your strength, your weaknesses, your opportunities, and threats are here. Now, we're not doing a full-blown analysis because that could take a whole couple pages in itself. We're just outlining what you bring to the table better than your competition. Okay, that's the key here. What is your strength and what is your opportunity? And then mention your weakness and your threat here as well. So it's a short paragraph, but it covers a lot of important information. That's your competitors and your substitutes. All right, let's talk about price. So you, as a consumer, know that price is important, right? Nothing gets purchased without understanding the price. There's that old expression, I don't know if anyone of you heard it, if you have to ask about the price, then you can't afford it, right? But we look at price as consumers now. That's a constant. We look at the price of a car. We look at the price of a phone. We look at the price of a sweater we're buying, a pair of shoes. We look at the price of anything we're buying, especially online, because it's so easy to see the price. We can see if it's on sale. We can figure out what the shipping will cost. All that is important. So here you need to make sure you're explaining your pricing strategy. Now, price is a very sensitive, delicate thing in marketing, because if you price it wrong, your sales would be not there, right? If you're too high, you're not going to sell. If you're too low, you still might not sell, or you might sell too much but make no money and be out of business because you're not making profit. So the idea to think about here is, what is your pricing strategy? And over here, you could put, if you want, you could put graphs, tables, spreadsheets, whatever it is that you want to add. That you don't have to. It could be useful. It's not a requirement. It's a suggestion if you want to put pricing in a graph or something like that. But you really want to look at all the factors that go into pricing. So what type of product are you selling? What type of segments and channels are you in? What does your target look like in terms of personas, geography, demographic? What type of promotional activities? This is important when it comes to pricing. Are you going to sell your product at $9.99 every single week, but for Black Friday you're going to do $4.99? A special promotional item? Are you going to do free shipping and give away free goods? What is that? What does that look like here? So understand what your pricing model looks like in this particular section, and write that out. If you have an idea of what your what we call our macro conditions are, which are the government, legal, and regulatory issues, you can make note of them here. If you happen to know what your total costs are, your fixed cost and your variable costs, you can do a quick profit formula here. And the profit formula is simple. It's revenue minus total cost equals profit, right? Revenue minus total cost equal profits. And total cost would be COGS, which is cost of goods sold. It would be fixed cost, and it'll be variable cost. Variable costs are anything that changes. Fixed costs are things that stay the same. All right. So you can include that here as well. But the idea here, and this is just a paragraph, you really want to explain the rationale behind your pricing strategy. And are you putting it on sale? Are you offering specials? And what would your profitability be like? That type of idea. That's what price is all about in this section. Any questions on that piece? This session is not on marketing strategy, but if you've taken a session with me, you understand how important I make price out to be. And let me give you just one quick analogy if you haven't seen this from me before in the past. So the marketing mix includes the 4 P's, right? The 4 P's are product, place, promotion, and price. Product, place, promotion, and price. Notice I put price last. Why? Because price is the most important P in my opinion. Now, all of them are important, but price, by messing around with price, you could change the entire structure of the company, change the entire structure of your market by changing price and messing around with price. So visualize this if you could. I want you to visualize each one of these P's, one of those dials. You know, a dial that you would see like a water dial for a hose or something like that that you might see in an industrial setting or some type of movie where they have these dials on the wall that are attached to pipes and all that stuff, and each dial does something different. Well, imagine those dials being there. Product, and you have promotion, and you have place, and then you have the price dial. Each one of those dials are normal gray color, but the price dial is a bigger dial and it's red. And that tells me that if you mess around with that dial, something's gonna happen there, right? So think of it in those terms. That's why price is so important, because if you put a product out online and your price is too high, you're basically, if you put a product out online and your price is too low, you're basically done, because you might sell out faster than you expect. And then when you look at your advertising costs, your marketing costs, your expense to ship, you're going to realize that you just lost money more than what you sold. So that's why price is important. And as a reference point, just to stay on this one piece for 1 other minute, your pricing should be 4 to 6 times more than your cost. So for example, if something costs you $1, the minimum price you should have it out online is $6. And that doesn't include shipping. If you include shipping, it should be 8 to 10 times more, and 8 to 10x. So if you buy something for $1, it should sell for $6. If you're not including shipping, it should sell for $8 to $10 if you are including shipping. That's the only way that you're gonna be profitable. When you add in marketing costs and returns and damages and everything else, that's how much it takes to be successful. Okay, so that's why price is pretty important. Okay, let's move on to advertising, sales, and PR. This is your digital marketing plan here. This is where you're going to include your strategy for social media, your strategy for SEO, your strategy that you're learning now for email marketing. You're putting that in here, and you're really describing how you're going to create these social activities for the product and the service. How are you going to do it? I'm using Facebook. I'll be posting every 3 days on Facebook. I'll be taking on an ad every couple of days on Facebook. I'll be using LinkedIn. Explain exactly what you're doing here and quantify it. How much money are you spending on Facebook advertising? What type of return on investment are you looking to get? You're hoping to spend $10 and get $100 back in sales. That's good. That's a good number. So let's put that here to make sure that you're being profitable. So you want to be creative here with this section. You want to explain what your digital marketing strategy is. Use all of the things that we learned in the last few courses: the Facebook marketing, the Twitter, the TikTok. Well, I don't know if you covered TikTok, but TikTok advertising, LinkedIn advertising, pay-per-click, email marketing. Oh, and if you want to do TV ads or YouTube ads, of course, I love YouTube. Put that in here. This is where that needs to go. So this section really needs to be populated with how you're going to sell this. And if you can quantify it and say something like, well, I'm going to spend $500 a month on Facebook ads because I want to generate, remember, we need an objective here, a goal. I want to generate $2,000 in sales. That makes sense. Okay, that makes sense. So this is the section that you could be creative, and if you want to put in examples of an ad, that's fine. It could be as creative as you want to make it. So let me go back and look at some of the questions. All right, let's see. Yes, $10 for a $1 product. Yeah, so let me break the math down for you. So you need to be at a 4 to 6x. That means 4 to 6 times more than your cost to be successful online. So for example, if the product cost you $1, your top price needs to be $6. Your lower price needs to be $4. And at $4, depending upon how your operation is and how you sell the product, you may not be that profitable. Okay, so that's a general guideline. It doesn't hold true for everything, but that's a general guideline to keep in mind. Now, if you're including shipping, just like Diana pointed out there, if you include shipping, then you need to make sure that you're getting an 8 to 10x on that, because that's important. Because shipping is going to be at least 10 to 20% of the product, depending upon what type of weight the product is. Shipping is going to be your biggest expense after the cost of running the business, and that's with some companies. So just keep that in mind. That's the idea. Okay. All right. So Derek asks a question about 3 to 5 pages, double spaced. Yeah, you could double space it. It doesn't, like I said, it doesn't have to be 3 to 5. It could be 6. It could be 4. I don't think you're going to be able to do it in 3. But if it's 4 and you get it all done, then that's fine. I'll take a look at it. If it's all there, then we'll look at that as well. But it's probably going to be 5 pages, and I'm guessing. And I've seen plans already, and we've done this before, so I know it ends up normally between 5 and 7 pages. But I don't want you to count pages. The exercise here, remember, is not to worry about how many pages you have. The exercise should be worry about making sure your strategy makes sense and that you're going to be successful. That's the idea. Okay, that's the idea. All right. So let's see, $10 should I sell for $100 with shipping? That's a little too high. You know what? It depends on what that weight is. If it's I think you do T-shirts or something like that, right, Gerard? Something along those lines. So if you do a light-weighted product, then it could be a 4 to 6x. But yeah, you want to electronics, okay? So if electronics are heavy, so to ship a radio might cost you $15-$20. So if you don't sell it for enough money, how much profit do you make? That's the question. Remember, you have to spend money to make money, and that's what you have to think about. You could be lower on margin, you could be tight on margin, you could be happy making $1 on each product, but just keep in mind that if there's not enough room in there, that could be a problem for you. So just keep that in mind. Like I said, it doesn't apply to every single thing, but when you run the numbers, you want to make sure that you have enough there. Okay. Okay. All right, so let's talk about that last section, and that's the budget. So now that we have everything done, this last part really is just coming up with a budget, and a budget is pretty simple. And here is the example of what a budget could be. All you really want to do is give me your units sold by your X price, what the price is, what your cost of goods are, and what your selling and general administrative expenses are. That's SG&A. What your cost of marketing expenses are. And then you want to just come up with a profit. So if these are all your cost, you want to back out your revenue, and that gives you your profit. So basically, this is the revenue equation. Units sold times X price is total revenue, right? Units sold times X price is total revenue. Then you want to minus all your cost of goods sold and all of your SG&A. SG&A are your what we call the selling, general, and administrative expenses. So in this case, it could be both your total cost and your fixed cost and your variable cost, which are your total cost when you add all these up together. So revenue minus total cost, and then we're also taking your marketing activities because this is a marketing exercise. So that's a separate itemized item. You're minusing that, and then that'll give you profit. So what does this look like? Well, if I have a product that I'm selling for $10 and I sell 10 of them, 10 times $10 is $100 revenue. That's the revenue number. Now, my cost of goods sold, let's say that product cost me $2 to buy, and the SG&A cost me $1. That's 2 plus 1, that's $3. So far, that's part of my cost. My marketing activities was I spent $2 on the marketing activities. So 3 plus this 2 is my total cost, which is 5. So it's $10 minus $5 equals $5 profitability. And I would take that and roll it out by whatever Y number of units you sold. And that's basically the assumptions that you're making. So you can get as detailed as you want here. You can put together a little chart, a little spreadsheet. You could just run out a formula. That's fine. But we just need to have a budget. I want to know how many units you expect to sell at what price. So that gives us your total revenue. I want to know what your COGS are, which are cost of goods sold, and your SG&A. And I also want to know how much you're spending on your marketing activities. That will give you a simple budget of expenses for what you're trying to accomplish.